to the Bruins Benders podcast. It is pregame tonight as we prepare for the Bruins Maple Leafs. Maddie and Smitty here, presented by the Inside the Rink YouTube channel, and otherwise known as the Handsome Twins. It's a Halloween party here at Lops Brewing in Woonsocket, Rhode Island, and we are here pregame for the Maple Leaf Bruins game tonight. And the Bruins are 3-4-1. They've lost a couple in a row. The Maple Leafs, 3 in a row, actually. The Maple Leafs have lost 2 in a row to Columbus and St. Louis. So this is a matchup of two teams getting yelled at by their coach and ready to perform a lot better. We're going to see who does that tonight.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what happens tonight. I think both teams are kind of looking for rebounds after their last outings. The Bruins especially have been trying some new things in practice, it looks like, some new breakouts. So hopefully that will come to fruition on the ice tonight. And Jim Montgomery certainly seems like he's on the hot seat. If the seat's not hot, it's definitely getting warmer at this point in time.
It's toasty for sure. Riley Tufte was placed on waivers, and the Bruins received some money to potentially sign Tyler Johnson. Haven't heard anything yet about it, but that could be someone in the mix, especially if tonight doesn't go so well.
Yeah, I think so. I think Tyler Johnson should certainly be in the mix. I've said before, my ideal lines include Tyler Johnson and Fabian Lysell. I think they both should be in the lineup. I think the team needs more skill and speed. And I think struggling as the Bruins have been to produce offense, I think now is the time to certainly give that a try. And then if it doesn't work out, early in the season, then maybe you look at the deadline to see if you can sign a forward to help out your offense.
So now the Bruins have had a really hard time with giveaways, and that's going to be a point of emphasis here tonight. How much the Bruins give the puck away. They gave it away 20 some odd times. Last game, 13 in the first period. You do that tonight, you're screwed.
Yeah, in my junk drawer column, I wrote the last 3 games the Bruins have turned it over, given the puck away 21, 18, and 22 times respectively in the last 3 games.
Not a math major, but that's an awful lot.
That's not good, yeah. Especially when you go around and you look at the rest of the league and you chart the giveaways for the rest of the league. And yeah, some may be up in the 13, 14 range, but it's really not something that most teams are approaching, 20, 22, 23. So that's certainly something the Bruins are going to need to clean up and quickly if they're going to turn the season around.
And also taking an enormous amount of penalties, the most minors in the league, the most penalty minutes in the league with 110. They have given up 9 power play goals out of the 30 goals they've given up. If you don't go to the box, you give up a hell of a lot less goals, and maybe you have a much better record than right now.
Yeah, I think that's 100% true. I mean, in a few of those games, their minor penalties led directly to goals, which cost them games. I mean, Colorado, Riley Tufte takes 2 minors in the offensive zone. Both goals end up in the net, and you lose by 2 or 3. So that's the difference in the hockey game. Parker Waterspoon penalty ends up in the net. Max Jones penalty ends up in the net. So they've had problems with that all year. And it's not just the Max Jones, Riley Tufte's in the world. It's David Pastrnak. The last 2 or 3 games, he's taken a terrible penalty that's ended up in the net.
Right.
So as much criticism as Jim Montgomery's gotten over the course of the last week or so about the way the Bruins have played, it really falls on the leadership of the team, the McAvoys, the Marchands, the Pasternaks of the world to really right the ship. I mean, those are the guys that need to play better, plain and simple.
Right. Jason says if they get blown out, is Montgomery still coaching on Monday? And I've said it before, I really believe he gets fired Monday morning if they continue to do much of the same here today. The players have said the right things. The coaches said numerous times the right things. Montgomery talked about their attitude and how their confidence is low. The players know what they need to do. They know the errors they've made, especially the veterans. The best players on the team are largely the culprits. If it doesn't get better today, I guarantee you he's gone Monday.
So I don't think it's going to be Monday. I think it's going to be Sunday during football.
Oh, Sunday, bloody Sunday?
Yeah, because I think the Bruins are cowards,
Mhm.
and they like to put out their information when not a lot of people have eyes and ears on
That's
it.
an excellent point.
So I think if he does get fired, it's going to happen on Sunday when everybody's watching football, and less people care about it. Bruins fans certainly care about it. We certainly care about it, and we'll talk about it. So it's not going to be lost on the two of us if Montgomery is fired. So it's kind of make or break time for the Bruins. It's nut cutting time, as they say, and we'll see what kind of effort they have tonight. But I don't have my hopes up, and I hope I'm wrong, but I don't see it changing, at least not this quickly in the season. I think there's too much that they need to clean up to be able to fix it overnight in one game.
I feel like your Hanson wig is a little more realistic than my Rick James special here.
You certainly do look a little Rick
I
James.
do look a little Rick James 17.
Yeah. I look a little bit more like Howard Stern. I think,
You do have a Howard Stern.
Hanson's
Yeah, that you might be Howard Stern for Halloween.
Yeah.
Actually. It's true.
I also might be able to get away if I did a little bit of the nose. I feel like I could be Humpty Hump from the Digital
Yes,
Underground.
yeah. Put a little tape on your nose. Yeah.
Yeah.
Slide it down from your glasses.
Right.
Yeah. Put it on your nose.
And I am sweating right
Oh,
now.
it is
with
honest.
this thing.
Hell, I
with this
haven't
thing
had
on.
hair since 1990, and I'm seeing now that I'm glad.
Oh my God, I don't know.
I'm sweating.
I don't know how girls do it with long hair.
No,
I
I
mean,
don't
I love the long hair on girls.
Sure.
I love the look of it.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I don't know how you all do it. I really don't. It is a chore. There's hair in my mouth constantly. I can't. It's difficult. It's difficult to look this pretty.
Hair,
isn't
hair,
it?
and
It's difficult to look this
it
pretty.
is getting into my mouth
Yeah.
a little bit too much. It is the type of girl. If I didn't have a goatee, this is the type of girl I'd be after. Like, brunette, big hair,
James.
What
The
white
type of girl
James.
you like is Rick
Yeah,
James.
Rick James. Yeah. That's my style. Pejman says that we're a couple of studs
With that hair.
With the hair,
Yeah.
absolutely. If the Bruins play the way they have lately, even the wig will fall off. That is 100% true. That's 100% true. Reeves should be in the game tonight.
Yeah.
I believe. Pacioretty's been dinged up for them. One thing we talked about the Bruins PK, the Maple Leafs power play has been historically bad, which is really a stunning development considering all the great forwards they have.
Yeah.
They're 13 for like 121 since last February. It's ungodly bad, like 10%.
Well, I'll tell you what, the Bruins penalty kill right now will get people right.
Mhm.
They did against Colorado.
Yep.
Colorado's power play was struggling going
Yep.
against the Bruins. Colorado's power play is 3 power play goals.
Yep.
So if your power play is struggling, you hope the Bruins are on your schedule.
Yep.
And you can get your power play can get right. You guys can start feeling good about themselves out there as the Bruins just skate around aimlessly in their defensive zone and give up power play goals. Here's another thing that Swayman is in net again tonight.
He is.
So 4 in a row for Swayman.
Yes. You know what that tells me? That tells me that the coach is getting more and more desperate and doesn't want to risk playing the backup goaltender because he needs wins to save his job. That's what it's telling me. And I am really concerned about Swayman going forward with the heavy workload.
How many games are they going to play? I mean, right now he's on.
I thought it would be 55-60.
Yeah.
Christ, we might be 65-70.
Yeah. I mean, does that happen in this day and age in the NHL?
No, and it certainly doesn't happen to a guy who's never done it.
What is Connor Hellebuyck like? What's his games played like? What is Connor Hellebuyck?
Isn't he like in the low 60? I think he plays quite a bit, but I still think it's 62.
I know
60.
he does.
I mean, you would assume the backup goaltender could play 20 games. Like, for God's sakes, 20 to 23 games. I'm really concerned about Swayman going forward. Like, he hasn't done it ever. And he's played half seasons. Has he played even 50 games in the season, 45 games in the season?
So here's Hellebuyck. The last 3 years he played 66, 64, and 60.
Okay.
So he's up there. But
He is.
Swayman's on pace for for in that range, maybe a little more than that right now.
Sure. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see how that all shakes out. Because like you said, he's never really done it before.
Mhm.
So
I would have to think he plays against Philadelphia, against a struggling offense, struggling team.
Yeah.
They won today, I think. Philly actually beat Minnesota, I think.
yeah,
But,
Mitchkov had a couple of nice goals, I think.
So, but I think he probably plays Tuesday because then you have Carolina Thursday. I mean, there's not a lot of space there to play for.
Yeah, Flyers won 7-5.
Wow.
Yeah.
Take the over now.
Serious.
Wow. Minnesota was hot too. They were playing really well.
Yep.
I mean, they score goals a ton. They have a good forward group there.
Yeah. Mitchkov with a goal and an assist today. Travis Konechny, a goal and 4 assists.
Couturier had 3 goals.
Yeah. Couturier had a hat trick and 2
Wow.
assists for 5 points.
Now, there's a guy, Couturier, who Tortorella scratched and really called out last season.
Yeah.
He's not afraid to call out veterans. Montgomery gets into Marchand. That's really the first time we've ever seen that with a veteran.
Yeah.
And then Marchand, did the right thing, said that it was, coaches should be able to do that. And he thought it was, totally okay. And Montgomery said they were fine, and they probably are.
Yeah.
But it was definitely out of character for Montgomery. And then the whole TV timeout thing, where he took out the whiteboard and he was screaming at the team.
Yeah.
To me, that was a little bit like, when you're a coach and you do those types of things, you're almost showing the crowd, like, look, I'm coaching my ass off.
Yeah.
These guys aren't playing.
Yeah,
Like, it's
I'm trying.
almost like this sort of subliminal, like, little thing you're saying to the team, to the crowd or the media, like, hey, I'm doing the right things. They aren't.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's probably to the point where he's like exasperated.
Yeah,
like he's
sure.
like, I don't know what strings to pull with this team to get them to play. And that's on him maybe to a certain degree. But like I said earlier, I think it's on the players. It's on the veteran players to play better.
It is.
I mean, unless you want your coach fired, it's
Yes.
on the veteran leadership that knows the mistakes they've made.
This is not a new thing. Like, we talked about slow starts in games. It's been like 2 years at least of slow starts in games. Like,
Sure.
they got away with it 2 years ago because
Yeah.
it was such a wagon. But it's been this way for a while.
It
And I
has.
think the core, for whatever reason, just doesn't seem to stay up for games. And I don't know what it is, but they just don't give 100% effort all the time. And Charlie McAvoy said something that kind of stood out to me the other day. He said, we've never won anything in October. And that was almost like, oh, wait a minute. Does that mean you don't value the games in October as much? Like, he was trying to downplay the losing streak, but it was almost like, well, you're saying that it's not as important in October? Like,
Right.
So I wonder if that's kind of the mindset sometimes where we're gonna kind of just bide our time. We're gonna make the playoffs. We're a really good team. We're gonna try to pace ourselves to get to the playoffs this time. And maybe they've learned that we can't completely gas ourselves and be left with nothing at the end. But I don't think they're as talented now to get away with that.
Yeah, I think that's probably true. I think to a certain degree they do that. They do try to pace themselves during games. I'm certain that David Pastrnak paces himself during games because he plays 22 minutes a night.
Mhm.
And he's gliding around a lot of times out there, and I think he's trying to conserve energy.
Sure.
Now, that just doesn't look good in my eyes.
No.
I would rather see him play 19 minutes a night and skate his ass off a little bit more. I would rather see guys skating their ass off. Why do you have to be down by 2 goals in the third period to all of a sudden decide to turn it on? Where is that effort in the first period or the second period? Get yourself a lead and then play that way. Give the effort early on, get yourself a lead, and then you can, coast. I mean,
Right.
I still don't want to see that, but they're not giving the effort when the game is in doubt. They're giving the effort when the other team's essentially already won. I just don't understand why that is the way that they approach things.
It was funny when the team was late to the ice for practice yesterday and the coaches were out there and it got to be about 5 to 8 minutes late and people were saying, wow, they have a players meeting. I thought to myself initially, okay, who's holding that meeting? Because all the best players sucked the worst.
Right.
Like, who's holding the meeting? Like, if I'm Cole Koepke and I'm sitting in that meeting and Charlie McAvoy's like, come on, guys, we got to get going. I'm like, screw you. Like,
right.
you guys aren't playing great at all. And I'm a +9
Yeah.
You know, with the most points on the team. Like, screw you guys. You know?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's kind of what it comes down to right now is that the leadership of the team is not pulling their weight.
Right.
So how can they go out and question how other guys are handling themselves or the effort that other guys are putting in when they're not really giving the effort that you would expect out of guys like that? The big name, big money players have to play that way. And, you know, Pastrnak has 5 goals, but I feel like in large portions of games, he's kind of disappeared a little bit. So it's really kind of fool's gold as far as that goes, in my opinion. He's not impacting the game the way you would want a superstar like David Pastrnak to impact the game.
Sure.
You know, it's like all of a sudden it's a pass to the front of the crease and he scores, but he's been invisible for 45 out of the 60 minutes. That's not what you're looking for from your franchise player. And the Bruins need to kind of figure out how they're gonna do things offensively going forward. I wish they would simplify it. I wish they would get pucks below the goal line and play more of a fourth line style or more of a Carolina style where the puck goes back to the points, shots get in, and the guys are crashing the net and looking for rebounds.
Mm-hmm.
Carolina outshoots their opponents by 7 or 8 shots a game.
Sure. And the Bruins used to do that.
And the Bruins used to when they had puck possession. They're a little better at that this year, thanks to Elias Lindholm, you know, winning some faceoffs, and Castle's good on the dot. Beecher's good on the dot. But Charlie Coyle's really struggled there. Struggled all year, really. Sure. Not just on the faceoff circle. Sure. And Trent Frederick, you know, had a career year last year and has kind of fallen back to what he was a few years before that. You know, they need more out of Freddie. There's a bunch of guys on this team that have underperformed that they need more out of.
Well, I mean, if you figure Zacha, Coyle, Geeky, Frederick all had career years.
Yeah.
All 4 guys. So are you really relying on them to have another career year or even the same type of career year?
That was part of my point last year earlier when I said that I didn't think this team was as good as last year's team, because you can't have guys just repeat that, especially a guy like Charlie Coyle, who's, you know, in his early to mid 30s. That's not happening again.
No, he was 32 years old when he had his best year.
Right. And that's not something that you can replicate usually.
Right.
And Pavel Zacha had his best year too. So, I mean, yeah, those guys stepped up in the absence of Bergeron and Krejci, and you were grateful for that. But it really it wasn't exactly what you wanted as far as goal scoring and chances. So those guys need to be as good or better than they were last year. It's just not happening. And I don't know why you'd expect it to.
No, I don't know. I know who I look like now. If you're a big wrestling fan, gorgeous Jimmy Garvin had the big hair and the facial hair.
Yeah.
I don't like gorgeous Jimmy Garvin for you older guys.
I think if you put sunglasses on, you might look like Slash from Guns N' Roses.
Yes. Yeah, I should change it out to sunglasses.
You should.
Yeah. Pastrnak talks about Pasternak's careless turnovers. You know, one of the things about this is, you know, the coach has been talking about this for a couple of weeks now, and they keep doing it. And I really think the reason for all the giveaways, or a lot of them, is the style that they play, and that they aren't accustomed to playing it. They don't have the right personnel for what they play. We've been talking about this for a couple of weeks now.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. Trying to go too quick, too north right away, and it just doesn't fit the personnel they have. They need to play a little more Claude Julien, D to D, work it up, hit a guy in the middle, closer to the puck, and go. And I think that would be much better suited for this team. And I think that's why you're seeing Montgomery gets a lot of leash. And I don't think this team deserves that, to be honest.
No, they don't.
You know, and I think that's part of the problem. The lines yesterday at warm-up, the practice. Pavel Zacha on the first line with Lindholm and Pastrnak. Marchand, Coyle, Patra on the right wing, second line, which is better. Frederick, Kiki, Brazeau. Beecher, Castlewick, Kepke. Frederick, Kiki, Brazeau is asking for problems. I mean, Frederick has not been great. Kiki's been less than good to bad. And Brazeau only does well when the puck's near the net or below. Like if 5
in front, directly in front of the net.
in front of the net. That's where he scores. That's where he's effective. Getting there is another issue. So I like Pastrnak on the second line. I think that's fine. But the third line, I just don't love that third line. I think it should be Frederick, Coyle, and Geeky. And I've said that from the get-go. So if Tyler Johnson is signed, I'd love to see Frederick, Coyle, Geeky, and keep it there like for a while, because that line actually played fairly well last year. And I think that's a solid third line. If any of those guys are up into the second line, it's just they're exposed. They're out of position, and I don't love it. But I do like this lineup a little bit better having Pastrnak on the second line.
I would agree with that. I was just looking up the stats for the season on Frederick and Geeky and Brazeau. So Trent Frederick, eight games played, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points, -7.
Oh.
Morgan Geeky, 7 games played, no goals, 1 assist, -4.
Oh.
And Justin Brazeau, 6 games played, 1 goal, 1 assist, 2 points, -3. So
that's a -14.
Yeah, you're putting guys together that have all been, pretty bad.
Yeah, -14 combined.
Yeah, so that line as a whole has been pretty bad. Especially Geeky and Frederick have been pretty bad all year, and you're adding Brazeau to that line. Combined, 2 total goals?
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a line that's going to see very, very little time, I would think.
I would think so. And Jason makes a good point. You should make the fourth line the third line. You should play them third line minutes.
I think that's probably what will happen tonight. I honestly do.
Yeah.
I think that unless those guys show something that they haven't shown all year to this point, I think you'll see, the fourth line, Kepke, Beecher, Kastelik, get more time than those guys.
Yeah.
At least I would hope that would be the case.
Right.
If that line has been your most effective line all year long, they shouldn't be the ones playing 8, 9, 10 minutes. That should be the Frederick, Geeky, Brazeau line, and those guys should be playing, 12, 13, 14 minutes.
Sure. Mason Lowry back in the mix tonight. He sat healthy scratch. Parker Wotherspoon went in. Wasn't a great idea.
No.
It kind of took place what you thought would take place in that scenario. Wotherspoon looked jittery with the puck. Lots of sort of giveaways and
fumbles with
the puck. Just wasn't smooth. Plus, he hasn't played in a bit.
Yeah, I mean,
that's the other problem.
Yeah, I mean, you're kind of setting up a guy to fail in that situation.
Yes.
The team is struggling overall. You come in, you haven't played, yet in the season, or once before maybe.
Yeah.
So that you're just setting the guy up for failure.
Right.
And of all the guys to take out of the lineup, I didn't think Lowry was the right one to choose. I thought there were other guys that were worse in that game. He, because he's a rookie, I think takes the fall for some guys, Patra as well. And, the way they handle young guys in general, I think. The veterans get a pass and the young guys, make one mistake and they're out of the line.
Yeah, I feel like that's been a tale as old as time for them. Cassidy did it too. Let's not act like he didn't. Like that's been an organizational thing.
Oh yeah, that's an organizational thing. That's not a Montgomery thing or a Cassidy thing.
In fact, it was one of the reasons why they said Cassidy was let go is because Montgomery would be better with the younger guys.
Yeah.
That was a facade. That was not true.
Right.
All right, AC Nice said, I think we can all admit Bergeron was carrying the Bees for almost 20 years and should be no doubt Hall of Famer, and he was probably underrated his whole career. Well, I mean, you can make a case that he was probably a little bit underrated. I think he's rated fairly correctly just because the league started to buy into who he was too.
Yeah. He has 6 Selkies?
But yes, I'll tell you this. They haven't been able to remotely replace him, and his departure is just as bad as you thought it would be.
Yeah,
that's true.
And it's not just Bergeron. I mean, if you look at
Krejci,
you look at just the team from a couple of years ago that was a wagon to now. They lost Bergeron, they lost Krejci, they traded Taylor Hall away for spare parts, didn't replace him, and essentially let Jake DeBrusk walk for Elias Lindholm.
Yeah, and Tyler Bertuzzi was not brought back.
And Tyler Bertuzzi. So 5 of your top 9 went out
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you replaced it with one guy.
One guy.
So that falls to general upper management. That falls to Don Sweeney. Why are you letting all these guys go and not replacing it with, similar talent?
I still think they should have gone for like a Gensel or a Marchand and thrown some money at those guys.
I mean, preach, brother.
Yeah, I think they should have, just because the center wasn't 100% there that you needed. Like, you need a top line center, which, God bless, I don't think you'll ever get it unless in the draft or something falls in your lap somehow. But I think that the winger would have been a better play who can score goals, because as you said, whoever the center is, it elevates him when he has Pastrnak and Gensel or Pastrnak and Marchand, or
Yes,
he has two high-scoring winners. If he puts 70 to 80 goals out there with any center, that would be much better.
Yeah, I mean, look at center wins an offensive zone draw, back to the defenseman who passes to one of those guys and he scores. He gets a secondary assist.
Yes.
So all you gotta have is a guy who's defensively responsible and wins faceoffs. If you have two wingers that can score.
Sure.
Okay.
Right.
You don't need a guy to drive the line and make plays. You don't need a Connor McDavid or Nathan McKinnon or even a Patrice Bergeron. You just need a reliable two-way guy who wins draws and will be good in his own zone. If you're teaming them up with guys who can score. And I've said it a million times, 40 goal scorers don't grow on trees. So if there's a guy like Gensel out there, a guy, Sam Bennett or Sam Reinhart, guys like that out there that can score goals, you should prioritize those guys because you need goal scoring on this team. It is a major, major issue with this team.
It is. AC Knight talks about Bergeron greater than Sid. How about the Bergeron Kopitar debate that was going around a couple of days ago? Who was better, Bergeron or Kopitar? And it's pretty close. It is. I mean, in all fairness, we don't see Kopitar a ton. So people are saying, "Oh, Bergeron by a mile." I mean, I don't know if that's fair to Kopitar, who's a really great player. And I think they're probably fairly similar. I think Bergeron's better defensively. I think Kopitar's better offensively. So I think it's fairly close. I'd still take Bergeron just because of the intangibles and all of it, all of it. And the fact that he could play in Boston and make it work. And
right.
Some guys can't.
Yep.
So I would take the sure thing and Bergeron slightly.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think it's a pretty good argument. I think Kings fans certainly have the right to say their guy's better, and I wouldn't begrudge them of that. But like you said, because of the defense and the intangibles, I would take Bergeron. But Kopitar is better offensively, has more cups. Doesn't have the Selkies because Bergeron was around. But if Bergeron wasn't around, he probably would have.
He probably would have.
So, I mean, you could certainly make a case for Kopitar to be better than Bergeron.
Sure.
But I would still, I mean, we love Patrice here.
Sure.
So we would certainly take Patrice.
Jason says, if they suck, I hope they really suck. We could use a few good picks. What you don't want right now is just sort of slightly above mediocrity.
Right.
Like, you don't want that. You don't want that. We're picking 15 to 18 to 20 every year. You don't want that.
Right.
You want to either have a bad year like they had back in 15 and 06, like those years, or you want to be really, really good and take runs at the thing. So right now, I feel like they almost have too many good players to be really bad, and a good goalie. How can they be really bad unless a couple of guys get hurt?
Yeah, and that's the problem, because you don't want to pick, in the middle of the first round. You want to pick at the top of the first round. So you have to be really bad. And that may have to be what eventually happens to this team. We've talked about it before. That the DNA of this team may need a shakeup. Yeah, and that may require trading someone, from the leadership core, whether it's a Brandon Carlo or a Charlie McAvoy or even a David Pastrnak, if the price is right, coming back to you. I don't think Brad Marchand's going anywhere. I think he's going to end his career in Boston, and that might be sooner rather than later, folks, depending on how how this season goes for him and whether he can do the things he wants to do as a player and play the way he wants to play. I think we both think he needs to probably change his game a little bit in order to kind of maximize what he can do now with the skills he has now after the surgeries and all that, and getting up there in age a little bit. But I just don't see Marchand really leaving the Bruins. I think he would retire before that.
Sure. AC Lorai is in today as far as yesterday's practice was concerned. He's in with McAvoy and Witherspoon back out. Yes, a core piece or two. I had a little bit of a discussion with Jimmy Murphy on X yesterday about it. I think a core piece moving would definitely kind of change not only the makeup of the team, but also maybe send a message that the players aren't going to dictate what happens anymore, which I think has become a little bit of an issue. So that would be interesting to see if they don't make the playoffs, number one, or if they get bounced early again. If in the off season you might see a Coyle go, you might see a Zacha go, or someone else. I don't think it would be McAvoy, Pastrnak, or Marchand, but maybe somebody other than, or Swayman. But it might be somebody other than that. Freddie might be gone. There might be some movement there on that group. AC says they need to trade Pastrnak, McAvoy, and Swayman. Well, that would be drastic, and that's not typically something that Don Sweeney does. He loves pasta, and the Bees need to rebuild quickly. It's gonna be difficult because they need center play, and Potter needs to be as close to David Krejci as he can be. And if that happens, they have a fighting chance. If it doesn't, they're in trouble.
They're in big trouble.
Yeah.
And I think that now is the time really to see what you have in some of the young kids. It's kind of make or break time for them. I think Fabian and myself should get a chance. And even Georgie Merkulov should get a chance. And just so you know what you have, right? If Merkulov's not going to be a player, you need to move on from that.
Sure.
And if Fabian Lysell is going to be a really good forward player and not much at the NHL level, you need to figure that stuff out so you can shape your team going forward. Now's the time, especially the way they've struggled offensively, to get some of these guys in that have some offensive chops, that have some talent, that have put up points in the American League. And it's time to try those guys and not try them out for 6 minutes. And if they make a mistake, you bench them for the rest of the game, to really give them a chance with some good players and see if they can produce. And if they can, maybe you found something there, and maybe you have a little bit more than you thought going forward. So that gives you an opportunity to maybe address some other needs you have, or move on from some older guys and kind of rebuild on the fly with a younger core.
Hello, Liam. Thanks for checking in. Pejman says Carlo could be a guy. Now, Carlo could be a guy moved. If you wanted to change the defensive makeup and kind of the culture of how the defense plays, you might want to move on from Lindholm or Carlo, because maybe you aren't as tough as you need to be, as physical as you want to be. So that might be someone. And Carlo makes really good money. I mean, he has a real. That
would be an attractive player to me,
yes.
on a cup contending team.
Oh my goodness, yes.
Because he's big, he has a long reach, he skates pretty well.
Yes.
When he's on his game, he's a shutdown defenseman, and he only makes like 4.1.
Yes. Can you imagine him on like Minnesota or someone who has Winnipeg?
Yeah, put him on Colorado. Put him on Winnipeg.
Yes.
Put him on the Rangers.
Yeah.
I mean, if he goes to a really good team, he could be like a second or third pair there, and on a really, really good team, and he would really add to their defense.
Yeah, Fabian Lysell's 21 years old, AC, if that's what you're talking about. Lorai is 24, 23 or 24. He's older. He played a while at Ohio State and in the USHL. So the tough team going down to AHL, Providence, there's about 1.1 in salary cap left. You would think that Tyler Johnson would get probably in the 800,000 to 900,000 range. I don't think they'd want to give him $1 million and take up all the space.
Yeah.
But you could also say that maybe someone else gets sent through waivers too, depending on what happens. But it puts them right up against the cap, which isn't a good sign when it comes to the trade deadline time.
No, Mason Lorai is 23.
23.
It doesn't put him up. I mean, it's kind of interesting that Sweeney goes into the season saying the roster is unfinished, but then he has
No money.
$421,000 to spend on improvements, which is not even a veteran minimum contract. So you do not have enough money, or did not have enough money before you waived Tufte to sign anybody. So how do you go in to a season with an unfinished roster when you had $22 million to spend on that roster in the offseason? How does that happen?
Poor management of assets.
Poor management of assets.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, it is. I mean, I don't think you did all that and you were a winger short, and that's not great.
Or two.
Yeah, or two, and that's not great.
As much as people shit on Jim Montgomery and the players for the way the season has gone, deservedly so, I might add. I don't think Don Sweeney's catching enough flack for the roster.
I don't think so either. I think people just assume because he spent all the money that that's fine. And I don't love the roster construction. And I guarantee you Montgomery doesn't either.
I would agree with you.
I just have this feeling he doesn't like it. Like, he deals with it every day. The amount of people he moves around would tell you he doesn't like it. It's almost like a baseball manager that makes these subtle moves to show management that they suck, like putting the same reliever out there and saying, you wanted this reliever short innings, end of the game, and I'll keep running him out there, and he'll keep giving up bombs.
Right.
Like, and they keep doing it just to show the management, like, you guys suck. This guy can't do it. I feel like Montgomery's doing the same thing. Like, he's moving everybody around so much that he's like, I have nothing, so I'm moving the deck chairs around.
Yeah, I think that might be true to a certain degree with the top nine. Yeah. He's like, I'll give you all the different combinations of all the top nine guys, and none of them work. And you know what the reason is? It's because I don't have enough. Yeah. I don't have enough guys. That's the reason that none of these combinations work. Yeah. Is because the roster's not good enough.
Yeah. Yeah, no doubt. Hey, if you guys want a puck, Bruins Benders puck, see that? Right there. Get these custom pucks. If you want one, let us know. Send us a DM. Send us an email at bruinsbenders@gmail.com. See if we can get one for you. Nice puck. It's got the QR code in the back for all your Benders stuff. Hey, go get some merchandise. That would be great.
Yeah, go buy some Bruins Benders stuff. Yeah. There it is. Got the hub of hockey. We got Boston hockey. We got sweatshirts. We got mugs. We got all kinds of stuff. We have stuff for all the teams in the league.
We do.
Colorado hockey, Toronto hockey, Leafs forever. Got all kinds of stuff. We do want to thank the people that have bought already. We appreciate it. Yeah. The stuff looks great.
It does.
So, hop on there, buy some stuff, and support the show.
Sure. Yeah. Tag us in a photo. You and our stuff. That'll be phenomenal. Bruins Leafs at 7 p.m. Puck drop about 7:07 or so. What's it on? Nesson? I think it's on Nesson tonight.
Yeah, I think so.
98.5 The Sports Hub on the radio, and Bruins are 3-4-1. Maple Leafs are 4-4. So this is a battle of two teams that are kind of in the middle of the Atlantic.
Yeah, NHL Network and Nesson.
NHL Network and Nesson. Probably blacked out at NHL Network.
Yeah, it probably is blacked out in the Boston area. Right. So for those of you that aren't in the Boston area, we know we got a buddy from Australia. That watches, so he might be able to catch it on the NHL.
Was it Scotland or Sweden or somewhere?
Scotland, I think, too. Yeah. And then probably on Sportsnet or TSN in Canada for the Maple
Leafs. It's on
fans.
CBC, I believe.
CBC.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So catch it on all the channels. What did you think of the alternate cast that the Bruins did the other night with Raycroft, Bergeron, and Tuukka?
It was what I thought it would be. I thought it would be not as great as people thought. I don't know if the personalities are enough there. I thought there was a lot of kind of dead time. I just didn't love it. And I know they first time doing it.
Yeah.
It's just I get Rask and Bergeron and why you have them do it. I just don't know if their personalities really jump off the screen. Like the Mannings have the brother thing, and they have personality. They're Peyton's funny. Like there's some of that. Rask is very kind of deadpan. I hear he's funny and sarcastic, but in a dry way.
That doesn't really come across on
right.
TV.
And Bergie's not an overly charismatic guy, so I had some doubts, and I still do.
So I thought it was fine
It's fine.
I didn't think it was great. I thought the three of them actually, when it was just them talking together, was fine. It was decent. But then when they brought these other people in to ask them questions, whether it was like betting questions or other things, it seemed just kind of awkward and forced.
It did.
And I didn't love it. So if I feel like if they're going to continue on with it, just let the guys talk.
Yeah.
Just let them talk
Right.
and figure it out as they go. And I think they'll probably get better at it as they go along. I think they're going to do it, a handful more times, something like that. So just let the guys talk and stop trying to force like other people in there, sponsorships, betting things. It's stupid.
Right.
They give them like auction paddles with up and down on it for like over and under things. It was like, it was kind of corny. And I feel like,
Nesson is corny.
I mean, Nesson sucks.
Nesson's
Let's be honest.
corny. Like Nesson is corny and risk averse.
Yeah.
And, they played small talk and baby talk and kids shows and cooking shows. And Billy Costa does some ridiculous dining show and, all of that. Like, they're not going to do something edgy. So let's pump the brakes there. Pejman is looking out for our general health.
Yeah, health and well-being.
Yes. Do not do shots for every minor penalty tonight. It's a good call because we are at Lops Brewing.
Yeah, and we're both empty.
Socket, Rhode Island. We're both empty here as we wrap up this pregame. We're going to be back on postgame.
We are.
On YouTube channel, the Inside the Rink YouTube channel. So, and kindly watch us on that. That'd be great. Hit subscribe. And that would be wonderful.
Yeah.
And we'll be back post-game to recap Bruins Leafs. It happens at 7 p.m. Until then, hey, thanks for joining us. And as always, go Bruins.
Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.